Hi everyone, welcome back to take 2 of Legal Content Chat. Koren, are you here?
I can hear you, it's wonderful.
Oh, amazing. Thanks for sticking with us, everybody. This is the first time we've done a LinkedIn Live together, so we were slightly prepared for technical issues, especially considering Koren is all the way in Portugal. So thank you. So today we are going to have a chat about building a personal brand. If you are a lawyer or law firm, legal consultant, or potentially a legal software brand on LinkedIn, and also with your digital content. So I'm Becky Whittaker. I am a legal copywriter. I write the words for legal websites for people that either have no inclination to do so or don't want to do it, can't be bothered to do it, can't do it, don't have time to do it. Any of the above, I'm here for it. Koren, take to the floor, introduce yourself.
Hello everybody, I'm speaking from Portugal today. Apologies for the technical issues. I am currently working with lawyers and law firms to enhance their personal legal brand, helping them with their online writing and online presence, and working with them with engagement strategies and business development.
Awesome. Thanks, Koren. That's cool. So greetings from both of us. We're coming to you as a tag team today because, you know, we wanted to give you loads of extra value because why not? So we'll dive right in. First thing we're going to talk about is how to identify your core values, your goals and your passions as a legal professional and how you can convey this through your content. So Koren, do you have any tips or strategies that you'd like to offer for this first topic?
Absolutely. So with my clients currently, what we're doing is we're starting from the drawing board entirely from scratch, and we're just working out what their values are, what their passions are, what their professional and personal goals are, and aligning that into a brand that can resonate their personality along with their expertise and their experiences. I've been using the SMART goal system recently so we can get specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and time-bound goals. And then we're analysing the metrics from the outcomes of those goals that are set in place. And I think if you can start with your values and passions, the rest sort of falls into place. And that's what we've been doing with our clients currently.
Perfect. Sounds good, because times are changing now, and what used to be very much just a professional persona online has very much turned into a personal brand. So putting out more relatable content certainly seems to be giving people a bit more of a boost online and making their clients realize that they're actually real people underneath it all. So not only do they have the expertise to help them with their legal problems, they're also very personable as well. So if you can get that balance right, you're definitely winning online for sure. Koren, what about setting? Go on, you go.
Sorry, I just think it's so important for lawyers, especially in this industry, to be humanized and personify themselves, because there's a taboo around what you expect from a lawyer and how you expect them to be. And I think if you can bring in that relatable aspect, that personal touch, it just makes your clients more comfortable, more likely to choose you.
Absolutely. I think in terms of choosing a lawyer, I know personally that if I were to choose someone to help me with my problems, probably legal. Well, my other problems are a whole different side, but that's a LinkedIn Live for another day. I would definitely want to approach somebody that was empathetic to my problems and understood where I was coming from, for sure. And we're definitely moving past those days of a navy blue staid websites with all the lawyers very, very still and very straight. And I'm loving seeing the new modern websites that are coming out with bios that have a bit of personality in them. Is that what you're saying as well, Koren?
Absolutely. And I think it's wonderful that we're stopping it from being this traditional, conventional, robotic persona and actually just being human and being able to share. I think empathy is so important, and it really helps with emotional intelligence, and being able to understand your client is imperative to be able to successfully help them. So I think, like you said, the times are changing, and I think the legal industry needs to evolve with that.
Absolutely. And do you see any kind of pushback in terms of lawyers that are wanting to put out that kind of content online and having, any kind of resistance from firms as general whole?
Generally, I'd say yes. I mean, the lawyers that I've been dealing with personally, they're very professional, and I think they're not used to being vulnerable in a professional sense. And I suppose by sharing your personal and professional experiences, that puts you in a vulnerable position, but that is an advantage. And that's what I'm trying to share with my clients and explain that, in fact, what you're doing here isn't revealing your true self. It's sharing that with everybody and making yourself so relatable. And that's what people want to see and read.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're not saying that you have to, tell everybody your entire life story, warts and all, because perhaps people won't want to see that. But it's picking and choosing the parts of your personality or your life that you might feel comfortable with sharing online. So it is all about balance,
And
isn't it?
absolutely. And I think if you can bring your passion and personality into your work, it just encourages people to want to work with you. I mean, for example, you're really bubbly and friendly, and that is portrayed in your content. You can see who you are from what you write. And I think that's what I need to start relaying onto my clients and really enforcing and encouraging for them.
Yeah, that's very true, because you can get that real tone of voice, can't you, through content? So that's actually a lovely segue moving on to how to create that kind of compelling content that your audience are really going to want to see from you. So let's talk about content pillars. What do you think about creating those content pillars and establishing a real firm foundation for your content? Do you want to talk us through that, Koren?
Absolutely. I'm currently working on, I call it the legal content manifesto. I mean, it's probably too dramatic, but I'm working on a PDF just so that I can structure and show everybody how content can be structured in an easy and simple form. And I think a lot of the lawyers that I'm speaking with at the moment, they don't know what to write about. And I think if you can establish your content pillars, pick your topics, align it with whether you want to be educational, inspirational, motivational, if you want to entertain or promote your business, share your personal experience, whatever that content pillar is, you can bring your topic into it. And I think if you've got specific goal and a specific outcome, specific call to action, I think it's a lot easier for you to just find your writing style and build that content calendar. And then the consistency sort of falls along behind that. It's another thing that a lot of lawyers are saying to me, I'm really struggling with consistency. I don't know what to write about. I don't know how to engage with my audience. I don't know who my audience is. And I think that's where the starting point should be for people that are keen to build that online presence. Do you agree?
100%. Yeah. So I always want to start with my ideal client persona, or your ideal client persona. But any content that I create, the first thing I think about is my audience. And I don't think you can really create relatable content unless you do that. So, yes, absolutely create your pillars. But first of all, let's align them with your potential clients. So I think I did a post out recently which made a few people laugh, which was, I like to go really in depth and think about it, like literally like stalkerish mode, like find out who your ideal client is, like where do they like to shop, what do they like to eat, what kind of people are they, who are their friends, what do they read. All of these things can give you really big clues into what their pain points could be that you can solve for them. So definitely align them more with the client persona, for sure. And it can take time, but it's a really worthwhile exercise doing.
Absolutely. And I find a lot of people are writing content. I say they're writing to everyone and reaching no one. And I think you should be writing to one client, your ideal client. And when you do that, everybody else sort of seems to fall in place and become that person too. And you seem to pick them out, and the people that really need the help. And if you've got that who, what, why, and how can I help, that really narrows down your content and it makes it so much easier to write.
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, one offer for one person is really, really valuable, rather than getting overwhelmed with all these other people that could be potentially looking at your content. If they're not going to buy from you, let's just not bother thinking about them, because we're not interested in those people. They just need to be the people that are in your perfect target audience, for sure. So thinking about the consistent content creation, which I know is a massive struggle for law firms, whether that is updating digital content on your website, whether that might be blog refreshes, or even just regular blog content. Thinking about that, and potentially on LinkedIn too, because that can link in really nicely. You see what I did there? Link in really nicely with blog posts. Yep, all the puns today. How would you suggest legal professionals go about building a consistent schedule of content?
I think my starting point would be to go to your calendar, see what you've already got. So, for example, I go to, if you look in your calendar, there'll be specific days. I don't know, National Dogs Day, for example. That's really relevant to me because I love my dog. She's part of my life. That's a great excuse to get writing and to get my ICP to know who I am. And I think if you can just use what you've already got, your networking events, your meetings, anything that shows your expertise or you, I think that's the starting point. And then you can pick your topics and put your content pillars in around that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think that's a really good starting point. And then you can sort of fill in the gaps as and when you go. We're definitely not advocates of just, sell content all the time. It should be educational as well and relatable. Like some of my best performing posts on LinkedIn have been like really ridiculous things about me and my dog. So
Same.
like yesterday, for instance, I did that post. Did you see it, Koren? Which was like that little gift that I had through the post, which was for my dog to make cupcakes. And I love that because that's like amazing marketing. It's got nothing to do with law firms at all, but it was just like, this is a really good example of a brand who knows what their customer wants. That was definitely what I wanted, because I wanted to make cupcakes for my dog, who I love more than my kids, to be fair.
Not to mention, really relatable because we're dog lovers and can empathise and relate to that with you.
Yeah, definitely. So consistent content creation, from my point of view, don't try and go, right, I'm going to post 5 times a week, every month. That's what I'm going to do, because it probably isn't going to be maintainable over time. So be realistic. Think, okay, I can definitely do twice a week. Put it in your diary, make a note of what you're doing, and stick to that schedule. So whatever that looks like for you, regardless of how busy you are, book that time and get it done. What do you feel about batch content creation, Koren?
Sorry, could you repeat that for me?
How do you feel about batch content creation? Is that something that you do? Do you batch create your content in advance?
Absolutely. I use OneDrive and I get all of my ideas on a draft sheet, and then I hone in on each content pillar. So as I'll show you with the manifesto in the coming days, I break it into like I've got a table. So I've got my topics, which are personal branding, online writing, business development, legal community. And then I incorporate that into whether I want to inform, whether I want to inspire, whether I want to motivate, etc. And then I find that easy because it's like a structure then. And then I can go through, say I wanted to post 3 days a week. I can build, I've got months and months worth of content here, and I just constantly edit it as I go. I'm like, CEO, you've been helping me so much with understanding keywords, hot topics, and bringing that into what's relevant this week, because it's ever changing and it's really hard to make your content relevant to the current time. And I think if you batch create, it's so much easier to pick out what's really important and what's going to work for you when you look at your metrics. Do you agree with that?
And it's not something that you have to, definitely, yeah. And I find it so much easier. So I will always have at least a fortnight's worth of content created for my social media, because it just takes the pressure off, and it's a lovely feeling to know it's done. It kind of feels a little bit like batch cooking, when you know that you've got some casseroles in the freezer or some chili or something, and you think that is done. I feel like I'm actually winning at life because my content's done and my dinner is done as well. So, is there a better feeling than that? It's amazing. So absolutely. And it doesn't have to be set in stone. So if you think it's that's not relevant today, pick it out and chuck something else in.
I think a lot of my clients at the minute as well, they feel like they're constantly playing catch up. They feel like they're behind and need to play catch up. And I think the batch content creation just eliminates that pressure and stress.
Definitely. So of course that's only one piece of the puzzle though, isn't it? The whole posting content thing. Engagement is as important, if not more important, than posting content. They really do go hand in hand, do you think?
Absolutely. And I think it was Leah Turner that wrote a post about a month ago, and she said, don't post and ghost. So my little engagement strategy for people that are new to content creation, or that are new to LinkedIn or any other social media platform, would be to begin your engagement before you post. So for example, if I'm going to be posting this week, I would be getting online 15 minutes before. I'll be commenting on people's posts and starting to get the engagement going and starting to build that support network. And then when you post, people are already familiar with you. They already know what you're thinking, what you're talking about. They already know that discussion's already there. And then after you've posted, if you can give it another 15 minutes of just commenting and being there, I mean, there's nothing worse than posting something and then 3 or 4 people are commenting with great insights and value, and it's just ignored. And I look at that and I think, you have potentially just lost so much work, so many clients, so many sales or leads just through not being there. You've got to be present. And that's, I think, the bottom line for engagement.
Yeah, and I love it. I love engaging with other people's posts. And then if I see, because I love humor as well, so obviously you might have realized. So if I'm like looking on someone's post and somebody's put like a really funny, like witty comment in there, I'll just go on there, like that comment, probably go, "You're a legend," and then follow them and start interacting with them. And that's all it takes for me to like spark my interest and think, oh, that's the kind of person I could actually want to work with, you know, potentially. Maybe not now, but further down the line for sure. So by putting yourself out there and engaging with other people's content, not to mention replying to the people that actually comment on your stuff as well, which they've bothered to do, you know, acknowledge that too. That's super important as well. So it's got to feed into the whole picture, hasn't it?
Definitely. Absolutely. And I personally, I really enjoy networking, and lawyers are generally really good at networking. I think they overthink it. Like my clients in particular, they're overthinking it, and they're thinking, oh, how do I engage? How do I network? And it's like, you literally just be yourself and communicate with people that are just like you, or need your help, or are learning from you can learn from. And I think engagement is absolutely a priority, and it does come hand in hand with content creation. You can't do one without the other. It's pointless.
Yeah, definitely. So let's move on to newsletters. I see we've got a couple of questions in the chat, which is lovely. So just briefly to say, guys, if you do have any questions, we're going to come to them at the end, a bit of an interactive Q&A. So we'd love to have your feedback on what you thought about our LinkedIn Live this morning, or if you've got any questions for us, please pop them in the chat and we will get to them really soon. So business development strategies, that's something else we wanted to touch on. So what about creating newsletters, Koren, in terms of generating that client engagement? How does that work?
Well, at the moment, I'm encouraging all of my clients to start with newsletters. For me personally, it's the new cold calling. Cold calling is dead now. I'm definitely not going to ever entertain that system. I think newsletters are the new way forward. It's a great way to use your existing contacts. It's great to get previous service users to repeat the custom, and it's a really positive way to let your market get to know who you are and where your expertise lies.
Yeah, newsletters are great, and I think a lot of businesses fall into the trap, especially law firms, sorry to say, of using newsletters as just a company update, you know, like, oh, guess what, we've got a new intern started, or oh, we've got a new secretary, we've decided to change the brand of our coffee, whatever it might be. Like, that's not interesting to your audience whatsoever. They really don't care. What they care about is how you can help solve their problems. So it's got to be information potentially about your company culture, like fun things, like we had an away day, I took them all away for Christmas, we did this, we did that. And that's how that works to serve your customers better, or potentially upskilling the staff, because now they can do XYZ and help you out with your problems a little bit easier. Do you see a lot of that kind of, should we say, dull content in newsletters? People are guilty of this.
In the nicest possible way, yes. And I think going back to our content, our ICP, we should be encouraging law firms and legal professionals to be using that system structure within their newsletters, as well as their content that they're posting on their social media platforms. Like you said, there's nothing more tedious than reading, oh, we've just welcomed Koren to the team. Koren has this much experience. Nobody cares. They want to hear about your values. They want to hear about the exciting new things that you've accomplished. They want to hear value. They want to know what you can do for them. And if you're not bringing that into your newsletters, stop doing them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a waste of time. There's no point in doing them unless it's going to be engaging for your audience. Speaking of which, how about managing subscribers lists? Have you got any tips on how to do that? Because that might be something that people may well struggle with.
Personally, for me, none of my clients, I mean, with regard to newsletters, they're generally doing it through email or LinkedIn. So what they're struggling with, my experience of the clients I'm working with currently, is they're just struggling with what to write. And again, they're writing to everybody and reaching nobody. And I think it comes back to, you need to understand your values, what your goals are, and they're never using call to actions. And I think, like, you've written this wonderful piece and it's really well written, it's easy to read, it's got a nice flow. But what is the point? There's no call to action. There's no particular value that the market's going to benefit from reading this. And I think that is what we need to try and help, especially.
Yes. Call to action. That is actually one of my bugbears. I can't bear it. So, like, you need to give your readers who are reading your content, you need to tell them where to go next. And it's the same for website content as well. You need to think about that user journey. You need to think, right, they've landed on your website. They've come there organically because you've written a really good blog post about employment law, for instance, and how you can help somebody navigating some particular issues at work. So that's wonderful. They found you in the first place. They've read through your blog. As you said, Koren, it's really amazingly written, really clear. They've got the information they need. But hang about, where are they going to go next? If you haven't got a button there to say, contact us, and they don't know where to go next, and then they might go to another page, but they still can't get your contact information, they're literally going to leave. We have much less patience today than we ever had. I think it used to be like 5 seconds on a website, and now it's 2. So, if people have landed on a website, you need to grab them. You need to get them and make sure that they don't leave, and then they know where to go next. Yes,
absolutely. I think call to action is something that a lot of people are omitting in their writing, and it's please grab them.
It doesn't need to be really salesy either. It can literally be, did you enjoy this content? Get in touch. That's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be anything like buy it now or anything like that. Obviously, it very much depends on your industry, but I think as long as you're interested in the content and you're telling them where to go next, that's what you need to do for sure. So we're coming up for 25 minutes now, which is great. We've been rambling on, haven't we? Hopefully you guys are still with us and you're still enjoying what we've got to say, fingers crossed. So we'll just, we have had this little speak about networking. So I think we've got everything that we meant to talk about off the list. We do have a couple of notes on here. So, so that is all good. So let's turn to the comments. So I have one for you, Koren. I think, I know the answer to this question, I think, but it'd be really interesting to have your take on it as well. So somebody's asked us, are there any things that LinkedIn doesn't like or which restricts impressions or reach if you include them in a post? I read somewhere that LinkedIn doesn't like external links that take the reader away from the site if the reader clicks on it, which is the same for any social media platform actually as well, isn't it? So what's your take on the things that restrict impressions in a post?
I think personally, inconsistency is the worst thing you can do. If you're overloading with 2 weeks worth of content daily and then you just disappear for 2 weeks, I find that can have an effect. I mean, in some instances, personally, I found that a way to boost your analytics is to take 2 days and then come back, and it's like your audience has missed you. Like, whoa, she's back, brilliant, and your metrics are right. But I think if you're too inconsistent and you're leaving it too long in between your posting, I think that's one way that LinkedIn will make you pay. What do you think? Is there any?
LinkedIn will make you pay. Gosh, that was a little bit terrifying, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn is a fickle creature. So, keeping up with the old algos is not easy to do. But I think it comes back to creating really compelling content. And it's the same with Google, keeping Google happy, feeding it that fresh, relevant content and interacting with your audience as well is exactly the same as it is on LinkedIn. So yeah, absolutely. I think personally, and I have seen this for my content as well, if you do post external links in your content, that won't get you very far. LinkedIn doesn't really like that. So yes, if you are going to do that, if you've got a call to action for a lead magnet, for instance, you want to go ahead and put that in the comments. So you can leave it 5-10 minutes after a post, pop it in the comments, your call to action, your external link, whether that's to your newsletter, website, whatever it might be. That's a much better way of getting those links in there. A little bit of a sneak tactic, but you can definitely do that. Next question: how many times should people be posting ideally? What do you think, Koren?
Well, I think it depends on your goals, and I think if you can establish what your goals are before you post, I think that makes everything a lot easier. And I think, sorry, I've just completely lost my train of thought. What was the question?
I love that. How many times should people be posting ideally in an ideal world?
Yeah. For my particular clients and the markets they're trying to reach, I think 3 days a week is more than enough. I think you can absolutely overload, and I think if you're putting too much up, you're not providing much value. You're actually devaluing what you're saying, and I think it can be quite repetitive if you do too much. So my advice would be between 3 and 5 posts a week.
Yeah, I think that's about right. And you don't necessarily have to worry about the weekend, because there's not a lot of people on LinkedIn at the weekends. One of my good friends often posts some more kind of casual stuff at the weekend, just like kind of, oh, what do you think about this outfit, or something silly like that, which can often just build a little bit of engagement, but it's not one of those really serious, corporate kind of posts. So Monday to Friday is absolutely fine, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever works with you and your schedule. Oh, we've had a lovely comment. You guys are amazing. Keep doing what you do. That's really nice. Gosh, people like this LinkedIn Live. Who knew? Are there any topics you tend to avoid on LinkedIn?
No, I think the more taboo the subject, the more interest you're going to receive. And I think if you can add a little bit of dark humor, and if you can talk about the things people don't want to talk about, bring that discussion to the forum, I think that is actually power rather than a disadvantage.
Yeah,
talk about everything.
Talk
about
about everything. Yes. It was Mental Health Day, Awareness Day, wasn't it, last week? And there was, LinkedIn was awash with all the mental health posts and everything. But then somebody I know did do a post on there, and it was amazing. And it was actually about her real personal experience. And she said to me that she'd ummed and ahed a lot over posting it because she didn't feel very comfortable, first of all, wasn't sure she should share that much information online. But actually the feedback she received was pretty incredible, and people were very, very, very positive about the whole thing. And I'm very glad that she did, because it made themselves feel better about experiences that they might be going through too.
Yeah, I think there's an element of fear and doubt, especially when you're new to content. I mean, I look back at some of my earlier content, like 10 years ago, say, and it's absolutely cringe, but that's how you learn. And I think go in with fearlessness, because every failure or every post that doesn't succeed, you learn so much from that it's actually more valuable than a successful post in some ways, because you learn what not to do, which is equally as important as learning what to do.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that as well. We've had a comment just to say that they saw that post that I spoke about and it was fantastic. So that's great. That post obviously did make the rounds. We have another, we've got another couple of questions. Well, more of a statement, actually. I don't have enough brains to be doing that many posts. Bless you. I'm sure you do. Okay, I'm sure you do. But again, do what you feel comfortable with. If you can't possibly come up with that much content, that's absolutely fine. I mean, I'm a content writer, so it's not an issue for me coming up with content. I've literally got content coming out of my ears, and I have a couple of different notes apps on my phone that I will just jot things down when I think, oh, that could be a really good piece of content. So, but I do appreciate, you know, in your day job, it's very, very busy, and just do what you feel comfortable with and then stick to it is definitely the key.
I think good advice for that question would be that I think getting a routine with it, not necessarily posting, getting a routine with writing, getting a routine with saving posts you like, seeing what works, seeing what other people like. I think, and then that gives you the confidence, and the fear sort of subsides as you go. I think it's bad advice to just say, just post. I think if you can get in a good routine with writing, that's far more powerful than actually just posting to anybody. Would you agree with that, Becky?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I mean, for me, it's never been an issue with posting, but I know a lot of people. I've had some conversations this week actually, who are a little bit nervous about starting out there and putting posts up. It's something that does worry quite a lot of people, and perhaps that's a perception with how they come across and what other people are going to think of them. Do you think?
I think imposter syndrome comes into it as well, because everybody's so scared to someone they're not. They want that authenticity because that's your credibility as well. But I think it's the fear and doubt that people have for themselves, and it comes down to insecurities. I think if you can get in a good routine with writing, find your ideal client profile persona, and pick topics that are relevant to your expertise and experiences, I think just go for it. Like the fear goes is instantly, and when you get people, thank you so much, this post really helped me, you just feel on fire, and it inspires you and motivates you to write more and more, and it just builds your confidence.
Yeah, and that ties in really, really nicely with this next comment here, which is, I can't write highbrow legal stuff. I'm not a lawyer, but I focus on the people side, the psych behind lawyers, etc. People, yeah. And then we've had a quote from a lawyer who says people rarely want to read a case note, which is very true. Lawyers are just people too. So if you are offering services to lawyers in some way, whatever that might look like, yes, they are just people too. You know, we all like to read things that entertain us. We all want to be inspired. We all want to feel like people get us, you know. So whatever it might be, just get out there and do it for absolute sure. So I'm just trying to keep up with all the comments now because there's quite a lot coming through. What is the perception if you have a few likes, but LinkedIn analytics are saying lots of views? Okay, that is an interesting one. What do you think about this one, Koren?
I think personally for me, when you're starting out on LinkedIn, go by your impressions, because people are seeing you, and they might not be liking it. They might not have the courage to say, oh, I really like that, or that was funny, or that was engagement, that was value, great insight. But in their heads, they're becoming to know you. And I think focus on your impressions. Don't worry about your likes. Don't worry about the comments. Start thinking about networking. Start thinking about how you can reach people. All you want to do is share your value, and then the leads come from that in time. That would be my advice, personally.
I agree. I saw a post the other day and somebody was saying that it was kind of a bit of a moaning post. It was like, oh, my post only got like 300 impressions and that's not very good, you know, compared to other people. Again, harking back to this imposter syndrome. And then someone put something really interesting on there, which was like, when was the last time you were in a room with 300 people that were all listening to you? And it's like, that's really true. Like, if you can get your message to 300 people, that's incredible. Surely, you know, why are we not celebrating this?
Absolutely.
Wild. Okie Coke. So any advice for an attorney who creates content for the practice page and personal page? It gets a bit confusing as to which content goes where. Okay. I mean, I know business pages don't do great on LinkedIn. But I know that you do have to have them. So I wouldn't worry too much about a business page on LinkedIn if I were you, to be honest. Would you say the same, Koren?
Absolutely. And I think I will definitely get this manifesto out in the next week or two, because I think if you can see the table structure that I work with, you can put your topics, whether it's practice, whether it's personal, whatever it may be, it's a generic structure that can work for any topic. And I think if you can put that into some sort of table format, it will make your writing so much easier. And it comes back to the content pillars. I think that's the best place to start, because if you're focusing on what your topics are, who your audience is, and what you're trying, the outcome you're trying to achieve for both your practice and your personal, it will make your life a lot easier, and the confusion will sort of fall apart.
Yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Please let us know if not. Okay, next, any tips on images to accompany posts? I see so many people posting selfies, but I'm not really comfortable with that and find so many of them cringy / irrelevant to the content. Oh, I hear you. How do text only posts compared to those with images? Okay, so this would probably be, well, we can both answer this question, I guess, in terms of impressions. Do you see a difference in your content, Koren, if you put an image with it?
I think if you're new to writing online, you need the images. My market particularly are very visual, and like you said, you've got 2 seconds to grab them. It's a lot easier to do that visually than it is with your writing, especially if you're new to writing in this format. I personally think memes are quite helpful. It depends on what your tone of voice is. I mean, personally, I'm very humorous. That's who I am. I'm funny. I like a laugh. I like to bring humor to my work. I think it makes work more fun. And I love memes. You don't have to put yourself, I mean, you could take a picture of your desk and show what you're doing. Take a picture of whatever you're writing about. I mean, it doesn't have to be about you. I totally relate to that. I've only just started posting selfies myself, and it is embarrassing and it does feel awkward. And I think you don't have to do that, but it does help with engagement, in my experience. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree. I've just bought one of those little mobile phone tripods, actually, that I'm going to test out. It's literally just sitting, I haven't even taken out the packet yet. I haven't had a chance to play with it, but I'm going to. And I'm thinking that instead of the old selfie every now and again, it might be nice just to do like a little sped up video, maybe of just me typing or something like that, maybe a bit engaging. So it doesn't always have to be your face, basically, depending on your industry. You can often do something a little bit different. But I think memes are really nice, actually. Quite a few people I know use memes, and that can get the attention. But I guess what you've got to consider is your audience. You know, are they going to be attracted by loads of text, or are they going to like a little bit of visual here and there? And probably the chances are it'll be the latter, to be honest. Hope that answers that question. When did you start to see results on LinkedIn after consistently posting? What do you reckon?
It depends what you determine as a result. I mean, for me, my goal right now is to build a community. I'm not here to make loads of money. That's not my goal personally. So I think it has to be, I think, setting little smart goals for yourself. So, for example, I'm hoping to have 3,000 followers by next year. That's achievable, and that's a personal goal for me. And I think it depends on what you determine as a result. What is your goal? And if you're in line with your goal, 2 likes might be suitable. I mean, I don't get many likes on my posts, but I've got, my DMs are killing it, and I can't get through them. So I think it depends what you want your result to be, and bringing that in line with what your outcome is, really. What would you suggest?
Yes, I think, I mean, I've been consistently posting probably for about 4 or 5 months now, and I've only really started to gain a lot of traction in terms of comments on posts. But like you said, it's very different. You can have different goals. Like, I have a lot of DMs as well, which is great. And I've just started to have people coming inbound to me now to say, like, oh, can you help me with this? Now, like, that just hits completely different, that kind of inbound touch. It just feels so different. It's amazing. And you feel like, oh, I'm pushing out all this content all the time. Is anybody actually going to read it or pay any attention to me? And all of a sudden, I can't click, by the way, not very well. It'll happen. And that's a result of the consistency, because it's like they've got to know, like, and trust you. You know, they have to know that you're actually going to be around for a bit, and that you're not just going to disappear off the platform in a couple of weeks' time. So it's having that authority online, I think, as well. Okie dokie. Somebody said they're just really delighted their impressions are growing. I'm averaging several thousand a month, and that's bloody mind-blowing. So that is great. Yeah, and Stephanie says also her goal is the same as yours, Koren. She wants to build a community too, and speaker engagement. So that is really lovely as well. And like you say, we've all got different goals out there as well, haven't we, for our business? So I think that's the end of the questions. I can't believe we're coming up for 40 minutes. We have been yabbering on for a long time, but I knew that we would.
Yeah, so we always
I know. We're always like chatting, and I'm like, Koren, I really need to get back to work now. Can we just kind of like, let's wrap this up? We could just talk for ages, but we really need to crack on. So it's been so lovely for you all to join us. We really, really, truly appreciate it. And we will just keep doing what we're doing. We will be back for more, certainly. Fingers crossed with no technical issues the first time around as well. And I think we need to finish with, guess what?
drum roll.
A drum roll, a call to action, guys, because it's pointless without a call to action. So what is our call to action going to be? Koren, what would you like people to do after they have watched our live?
I am going to be releasing a content manifesto for people, and I'd like them to have a look through that in the next couple of weeks and reach out to me and just please give me any advice. Let me know what you're finding valuable about my content, and let me know what you want to hear. I want to know what is going to help you guys, because I can't help you if I don't know what you need. So just reach out to me, be mindful and wait patiently for my manifesto. And then please just reach out to me with any questions or any ideas or insights as to what you'd like me to be writing about.
Lovely stuff. And from me, I am just happy to keep doing what I'm doing. If you or anybody that you know is in the legal industry and they're really struggling with content, whether that's blog posts or your website's really not doing you justice and not giving you that impression that you really want to get across, just get in touch and let me know. I'm looking to book a couple more people in before the end of the year. So it's a great time to get kickstarted with your proper marketing for the next year, so you can start 2024 with a bang. This has been a delight. So thank you from me and thank you from Koren. Should we end? We should have got like a really cool wave or something to finish, shouldn't we? Nice. Yes. And also very fitting as you're in Portugal as well.
I'll let you.
Some beautiful dancing there. Oh, stop it. I'm not happy with you now. Anyway, we're off. Thank you very much. Good night.